you understood what we were talking about. We didn't have to explain what it was like working with not-for-profits, and so you're able to walk in and say, okay, then what you're probably seeing is this, and what it looks like is this. But also you were open enough that you didn't come in with a pre-formed set of solutions before you had actually gone through this exercise to view all of our call centers. So, and then it was really challenging a lot of our perceptions. You know, some of the things that you guys came back with, we wouldn't have ever thought was possible.
It wasn't on your radar before.
It wasn't on our radar before. And even when you mentioned to us, we're like, no, we can't possibly do that. And then helping us understand what the real value was. And also coming back with things that weren't on our radar screen, weren't in the scope of work, but also recommendations to like, oh, and by the way, we noticed this, and this is something you need to address. And so it was just a very, very thoughtful, hands-on approach. And you know, we're not in the business of running a call center. We really needed a lot of help and a lot of guidance and
didn't really want to be in the business of running the number of call centers across the country either.
And you guys had to go through a lot of, you know, different operating structures to figure out what was really going on.
What changes have you made to the program and to the process based on the recommendations which we provided?
Well, we have created a national overflow bilingual call center, which operates 24/7. We found that a lot of our agents in the regional call centers some of them were spending all day listening to voicemail and then returning calls, which resulted in leaving a voicemail. And we felt like there are a lot of obvious inefficiencies there. So we've actually eliminated voicemail across the system and made it so that 24/7 there's an agent on call, and put together a fairly elegant system where calls are routed first to a regional call center. So we've retained those local operations, but we're able to manage spikes in volume on almost a moment's notice by anything that goes above the capacity of the regional call centers goes into our national call center, overflow center, and they're able to vet those calls. And we don't have people calling and the phone ringing and ringing or getting a bit busy signal. So we feel that we're able to be much more responsive to the public.
Well, the best answer is still the local one, but if they're not able to take that call or field that call, then by able to direct it to the national center, everyone gets a more consistent and a better level of service.
Exactly. And it was also really big for us to have that bilingual capacity 24/7. And it was big because we're funded by the government of Canada, and this is key for them. And then what we also found was that a lot of the phone calls we had were people asking, well, what's the status of my application? Because it's a fairly complex process. When you put your car into the program, all you really have to do is, as an individual, is you fill out the paperwork, you send us your documents, you get the car picked up. But there's a lot of back-end verification that happens. And there's a time frame that was, in many cases, taking too long. But even in the best-case scenario, it could take 6 weeks. And people would apply for the program and then 3 days later be calling up outraged, saying, where's my check? And we hadn't really put a system in to manage expectations. So the other major thing that we're right in the process of launching right now is a series of automated communications that go out, email or phone, depending on what contact information we have, that gives people an update at each step along the program. So you've applied, thanks for your application, now we need to receive these documents from you. We've received these documents from you, they're complete, now we're going to schedule recycler. We've received these documents from you, they're not complete. You know, and so keeping people moving through the process.
It's going to keep everyone on track, regardless of whether they're the consumer or the recycler or the local agency.
Yes.
Super.
Yeah.
Super. Well, how satisfied were you with the work we did for you? Now you tell the truth and you can lie at this point. Sorry, I'll pick whichever the nicest answer. How's that?
No, it's been great. It's been great working with you guys. Like, I felt like there's a great deal of mutual understanding. We did a lot of work in a fairly short amount of time, and you guys were all like, sometimes you're probably like, oh, okay, but you never, you were always really willing to run and take it on, and you always were very solutions oriented. And if you felt like something was, well, why did you want to do it that way? Let's explore the root causes, the root issues, and, have you considered this instead? Like, it was very collaborative, really fun, like literally fun to work with you guys. And that was, we work really hard here too, and it was, the fun that just your personalities and your willingness to collaborate, and you obviously take what you do very seriously, but how do I describe it? Don't kind of get bogged down in the, like, well, these timelines are...
the minutia.
The minutia of it. And because, when you are in the midst of working on a complex project, sometimes it can get challenging.
You can get stuck,
And I never found that. It just, things always kept on moving forward.
Well, you retained us to do a specific set of work and set of activities, and what you got back was probably a lot of the type of things you were expecting, but as you said, a number of things you weren't expecting.
Right.
At the end of the day, do you think you have a better program because of some of those out-of-the-box type of ideas and concepts?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I take it you wouldn't recommend us then to somebody else, would you?
Absolutely, without reservation.
Your check is in the mail.
Thank you.
Charlotte, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time.